sisters. This is Kristen Williams. I'm Lauren Ortiz. I just wanted to talk about the concept of Motherland with you because I think that it's super interesting that we did not come from a military family. And then I'm going to interview Cameron later, and he did come from a military family. So I want to see how the concept of Motherland kind of fits in with the military. So tell me about yourself. Where were you born? Where did you grow up? Where all have you lived? Etc., etc.
So I'm from Tallahassee, Florida. Lived there for 18 years, same house. Joined the military whenever I was 18. Went straight to Japan. Lived there for 2 years and some change. Then with my husband and daughter, moved to New Mexico. Lived there for 2 years. And then now I'm in San Antonio.
So according to the Cambridge Dictionary, the definition of motherland is the country in which you were born or the country you feel most connected to. But some think that the concept of motherland goes deeper than just country. So how do you feel about that? What do you think that it means?
I think motherland means something different for each person. Obviously, no two people grow up the same. Like me and you, we grew up together, but we had different upbringings, you know? So I think each definition, the definition changes with each person. So like my definition isn't going to be the same as your definition.
Right.
So growing up in the South, a lot of people do think that their nation is their motherland.
Yes.
I feel other people think it's their family. Other people think it's their childhood home. I think
their culture.
Yeah, it just, each person I feel like has their own twist to the definition.
Yeah. So after talking about a few different things that could be the motherland, who or what or where do you consider your motherland to be?
I think my motherland is my husband and daughter. I think wherever I am with them, like I feel at home. Obviously living in all these different places, it's hard to just pick one specific place or thing to be your motherland. So I think growing up in a family home, it's just a building. It's just a house.
Right.
Like growing up, it would be wherever mom and dad were, you know, or grandma and grandpa. But now, like, we don't call them that, that's weird. Now it's like wherever Sean and Mahela would be. It's where I feel most at home. Because this house is just a house.
Just walls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whenever we move, like, it's still going to be here, but I'm not going to have anything but memories from it, but I'll still feel at peace and safe and protected with them wherever we are.
Do you think that if you were not in the military that the answer would be any different? Like if you were still in Tallahassee, surrounded by our family that we grew up with our whole lives, and you still of course had Sean and Mahela, do you think that the answer would be, oh, Tallahassee is my motherland, Tallahassee is my home, because you didn't have to move around and create like a even closer bond with your inner family? Or do you think that it would still be Sean and Mahela?
I think it would still be people, because I mean, we talked a little bit about this earlier. Grandma and Papa they moved around a lot too.
Yeah.
But whenever you go over there, it's just like, this is
Nostalgia.
You know, yeah, and it's not because of the house that they lived in, it's because of them. So I feel like even if I did live in Tallahassee, which I probably wouldn't have, it's still going to be the people.
Yeah.
Because like Aunt Kim has moved around and it still feels like, oh, this is home, you know, like.
Yeah, it's not the house that makes it the motherland and that nostalgic feeling and that deep love feeling. It's the people.
It is the people.
So do you think that the concept of motherland is going to differ with military members and military families that do move around a lot than just the normal family that stays put in one place and kind of like creates their own roots in one spot?
I think so, because moving around a lot, you get to live a lot of different experiences everywhere, you know, with different people. You have to make friends in each new place that you go. When you stay home, or when you stay in the same place that you've grown up in forever, you don't have those experiences. Like, you don't get little bits and pieces of each country or state that you go and have to make your own little family there, you know? You have that all in one place. So I feel like for people that don't move around a lot or are not in the military, it is going to be more of like the structures that they grew up in and the people, and not just the people.
Yeah. If you could paint a picture for someone who doesn't know Sean and Michaela to really illustrate how they make you feel that they're your motherland, how would you say that?
That's a tough question. Well, I feel like, Sean and Michaela are two halves of my whole heart, you know? So Sean is like the protector and like lover and, you know, he's that for me. But Michaela is like kind of my peace. Like whenever I see her, like if I have a bad day at work, Sean is this way too, but sometimes, you know, your husband, you know. But whenever I see Michaela and she's just so innocent and runs out of her playroom and gives me a hug, it's just like all of that just like melts away. So I feel like that's why it's not the house, it's the people.
Yeah.
Don't cry.
I'm not crying. Yeah, I think that perfectly illustrates how like it really doesn't matter if you're in New Mexico, Japan, that feeling of like coming home is the people. If Sean was deployed and Michaela was in school and you came home from work one day, like if the house is empty, that's not home, that's not your motherland.
Yeah.
So I think that's really cool. Thank you. Do you have anything else to add?
No.
Okay. Bye. Okay. So this is my husband, Cameron. Okay. So tell me a little bit about yourself. Where were you born? Where'd you grow up? Where all have you lived?
Army brat. Born in Fort Bragg, North Carolina. Can't remember the name of the base in Maryland. Disregard. Went to Georgia, Fort Stewart, Georgia, then Maryland, and then out of there, and about 7 years old, moved to Germany. Moved to Butzbach, Germany, which is closed down now. 4 years, and then moved to Gießen, Germany, and or Ramstein. Yeah, and then stayed there till 08. I want to say I was 08, 09, and then moved back to Fayetteville, Fort Bragg, and then went to high school there and finished out my growing up there.
And then what?
Yeah.
That's your childhood, but
Yes.
up until this
Up
point,
until this
we're all
point, okay. So obviously, like I said, stayed in Fayetteville till I graduated high school. Went to college up on the west side of Carolina, Western Carolina University. Go Catamounts. And we were known for our marching band, by the way. Number 2 in the nation. No big deal. But
woohoo!
got bored and joined the Air Force. And then I got picked to go to good old Scott Air Force Base, Illinois. And turns out it's not in Chicago. So stayed there for a little bit, did some things, had a baby, and then ended up going to San Antonio, Texas about 4 years later.
Here we go.
Yep, now I'm here.
All right. So according to the Cambridge Dictionary, the definition of motherland is the country where you were born or the country you feel most connected to. some people think that the definition of motherland or the concept of motherland kind of goes deeper than that, deeper than country. So how do you feel about that? What do you think, motherland?
I think it boils down to who, because you said it's not just the country, right? It's more, it's, yeah, anything, right? So kind of like a who, what, when, where kind of thing you identify with. Does that make sense? So like whatever or whoever, whenever, however you identify with, that's your motherland. So for some people it may be their country. For some people it may be just simply their culture, because just because you're in a certain country where it's the majority of a certain culture doesn't mean you belong to that culture. Especially people in America where we are the melting pot. We may have a perception from the outside, but realistically, each and every house has their own culture. So, just who, what, when, where, how, why you identify with would be that motherland. That makes sense. Makes sense to me.
So, in that mindset or that idea of motherland, who, what, when, where, why is your motherland?
I'll be honest, I don't think I have one. And I say that, so when I say I don't have one, I don't mean I literally don't have one. What I mean is I see myself as kind of versatile, right? Partially because I moved around so much, partially because I had to always drop where I was, how I was, probably shouldn't say how I was, but drop, my entire life and go move somewhere else and adapt. Just constantly adapting. That's what I'm used to. All I do is adapt, right? So adapting to where I blend in to wherever I'm at, wherever I'm going. So still when people ask me where are you from, Fayetteville, North Carolina. That's where I tell people, but me deep down inside, I know that I'm good everywhere. Like I'm.
Do you think that you say Fayetteville because it's just the easiest thing to say versus getting into a conversation of Germany because I lived there for X amount of years?
Because otherwise, when people ask me where are you from, we have this 7-minute conversation of where I'm from.
Right.
So yeah.
Okay. If you could illustrate just a picture or a feeling of what motherland is to you, because when I was talking to Kristen earlier, I'm not taking offense that you didn't say me, but Kristen said her motherland is Sean and Michaela because they make her feel like home, like not this house, not New Mexico, not Tallahassee, like the places doesn't make her have that like home feeling, it's the people. So she is feeling at home motherland?
Subjective. To some people, yes.
Well, what is it to you? Because you said you feel like you don't have a motherland, so I'm trying to...
It's not that I don't have one. It's that my definition of a motherland is so deep-rooted and so wide that it's not worth the conversation that the average person isn't going to understand. Only 1% of the population is going to understand what my motherland is like. So that's why I say I don't really have one, because mine's just so I'm wrong to say I don't have one. I apologize for that. I'm wrong to say I don't have one. Mine is just very deep rooted and widely extends.
So when you said only 1% of the population would understand, you mean the military?
Pretty much. And now, granted, there's more people, maybe 2% of the population might understand what I'm talking about. Because obviously not just military moves around left to right, up, down, front, back. So military folk are going to understand, I get it. And mind you, there are still military folk who some may consider lucky went to one duty station and stayed there for.
Right, so they were able to
Right.
plant their roots
Exactly.
and like
Exactly.
grow their motherlands around that. But so do you think that with all this being said, the concept of motherland specifically for military members and families is probably different than the average person who's grown up in one place their whole life,
Absolutely.
has built a family around that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's also ever changing because there was no calling grandma to see her face. You know, like yeah, we could make a phone call, but
Right.
it was a little bit different. You know, so the way that motherland is established is at the end of the day through contact, right? So just like you said, with Kristen, she makes contact with her family that makes her motherland. Other people made contact with the country they're from. They establish that connection to define that as their motherland. Making that contact is to explain it, but
Do you think that making that contact kind of helps you to create the sense of motherland, the sense of home, and that it's easier now because communication tactics have gotten a lot easier than
that's
back
what
in the day?
So like, you can create that motherland of being around those people while being on opposite sides of the world, right?
A lot easier now.
Right.
Back when you were in Germany, back in the early 2000s,
it was,
FaceTime and all that
didn't
stuff
exist.
didn't exist.
So when people got deployed, when Christmas time came around, it was, oh, well, you're gonna spend $3,000 to buy a ticket out here? Negative. So it's ever changing on the way, because of the way that our ways of communications are improving.
So with the current, like, for people like me who joined the military, I didn't have, like, obviously I didn't live in another country growing up. I was the first person in my family to join the military. So my entire family is in Tallahassee, Florida. So I didn't have that kind of example of not being around my extended family when I was growing up like you did. So I feel like my sense of motherland, at least when I was a child and early adult, was very strongly rooted in Tallahassee because of the people.
Right.
But your family is kind of all spread out and you didn't have that close-knit with your extended family because the communication strategy.
But I also think that because of that, my immediate family is stronger because of that. Because we picked ourselves up, just us, and moved, and that's all we had until we made new friends.
So would you say that your immediate family, at least when you were a child, was your motherland? It wasn't the places you were at?
I think if you had to narrow down what my motherland is, it probably would be my immediate family.
Do you feel that way
it's
now? Still the same?
Well, like I said, it's still a thing of, it's very deep. It's very widespread. It's not, I would say that it's my family, and you know, just that my brother, my sister, mom and dad, just that core. It's like a core. Yeah.
Right.
So and I would say that's the majority. That's what makes up the motherland when it comes to my memories, my contact that I made, and all that. Yeah.
Is it a lot of nostalgia tied to, like, when you think back on that time, is it like the nostalgia that feels like motherland to you, like all the memories and the feelings that you had in all these places with those people?
Well, yeah, because that's all we had to make those memories with. There was no, there was obviously, but very few of those. Oh, well, I'm gonna go with grandma to go to this place, or I'm gonna go with my cousins to go to the amusement park.
Right.
I didn't have any of that. It was, we're going everywhere as a family.
Right.
And everyone was family. Immediate family.
So going back to how the concept of motherland relates, like, for military families now, do you feel that military families are more connected to their immediate family members as their motherland? Or do you feel that it's any different because communication strategies and everything have changed? So
At the end of the day, it all depends on the person. At the end of the day. Yeah, I would say the average is they really bonds together, but it's an average. But like I said, it's so subjective because it's hard to say that. Oh yeah, everybody does this. Everybody in the military does this. And you can't
Right.
say that because while it is only 1% of the population, it's still a huge group, still a massive group of all different types of the culture.
Right.
From all around the world, literally all around America and all around the world, you're just just consolidating them. So it's just really hard to say that, like, oh yeah, military families do this.
Right.
It's not necessarily the case. It just doesn't feel accurate to say that. Oh yeah, everybody feels as if their family is their motherland because it all depends on how they were raised. It depends on their environment. What they were exposed to and what kind of contact they had with who, when, where, how, why, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I think it's really interesting to see the contrast between this conversation and the conversation I had with my sister, just different upbringings and how it creates what your concept of motherland is. So, thank you for answering.